Mr. Speaker, our time is nearly gone, and I suppose I take great heart from what I've heard here tonight, because it seems to mirror history itself, when people of goodwill finally saw the victims in tragedies and recognized them as fellow human beings. Their hearts and minds began to change. And Mr. Speaker, I feel like the winds of change are beginning to blow here. I feel like people are starting to ask the real question. And I know that when we talk about abortion, it seems like all of the rules change. Sometimes you wonder if the furniture is going to start floating in the room when you hear some of the arguments. But the real question is, does abortion take the life of an innocent child? If it doesn't, Mr. Speaker, I'm willing to stop talking about it. But if it really does take the life of a child, then those of us in this chamber, standing in the seat of freedom of the greatest nation in the history of the world, also stand in the midst of the greatest human genocide in the history of the world. And Mr. Speaker, I feel like America is finally beginning to see through some of the facade of the abortion industry and Planned Parenthood's obfuscation. But I have another fear, and that is that sometimes we've seen such horrors lately. The Kermit Gosnell Clinic snipped little baby spines, the killing of children that are late-term pain capable. That recognition is beginning to seep through the conscience of America. But I paraphrase an old saint quote that said, "Vice is an evil with so frightening a mien, that to be hated needs only to be seen. But seen too often with its familiar face, first we endure, and then we pity, and then we embrace." One of the great weaknesses of mankind is that sometimes when we see evil often enough, that we become desensitized to it. And Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry has shown us so much evil in recent decades that I wonder if we're becoming a little callous to it. Do you ever wonder, Mr. Speaker, or ask yourself, are we really killing more than 3,000 unborn children every day? Are we really staining the very foundations of this nation with the blood of our own children? Is that really happening in America? Mr. Speaker, I would just suggest that it's past time for great introspection on the part of this country, because we are evil. We are either the last best hope of the earth, or we will simply be another empire that lost its way. And I am of the opinion that America will, as they led the way to stop slavery, will someday recognize the humanity of these little babies and see all of humanity then begin to understand that protecting them is really part of who we all are. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the time, and I would yield the time and move to adjourn.